Welcome to the Bucher and Friends podcast. Here is your host.
Let's send it over to Rick Bucher.
Rick Bucher.
Welcome to another episode of Bucher and Friends, part of the United WeCast Network. I'm Rick Bucher. You can read my stuff on Bleacher Report. You can find me on Twitter at Rick Bucher. You can follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Bucher Friends. And if you enjoy the show, please drop us a rating and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Do this too. Screenshot your review and tweet it to us at Bucher Friends, and you'll be entered for a chance to win some swag. Now, this is, it's time for another installment of Bucher Friendless. Normally, I'm here with either Ryan Hollins or Will Blackman, which is why we call it Bucher and Friends. And on Wednesdays, I generally have a guest. Last week, it was Jared Dudley from the Brooklyn Nets, and we will continue to have guests. But every now and then, I go solo, and thanks to all the buzz surrounding Anthony Davis going public with his desire to get out of New Orleans, and a story that I did for Bleacher Report that included a source telling me that Kyrie Irving would be open to rejoining forces with LeBron James again, led me to believe that I should dive a little deeper into, one, how that story came about and what I know about some of the other things that have basically the NBA stealing the show, crashing the party, if you will, of the NFL right now in the lead up to the Super Bowl, a time where usually the NFL is king. Everything that is going on around the Patriots and the Rams is the focus of the sports world, but that has not been the case this week. Now, we'll get to all the Kyrie Irving and Anthony Davis news in just a minute, but there's something else that I wanted to get to that didn't fit into the story that I wrote, and it's another development that I'm hearing is gaining momentum, and that's the possibility of Jason Kidd returning to the coaching ranks by succeeding Luke Walton with the Lakers. Now, I first heard Kidd's name connected with the Lakers a while back, right about the time the first round of Is Luke Walton on the Hot Seat stories came out. And Jeannie Buss, head of the Lakers, threw a bucket of water on that seat, cooled it off. And so I tucked away the talk of Kidd and the Lakers as something at the time simply spitballing or connecting dots that weren't necessarily part of the same mosaic. Now, I know that Kidd wants to coach again. And I know he expressed interest in the Knicks job before David Fizdale ultimately got it. But wanting to be a head coach again and expressing that to people who can make it happen is not the same as being considered for one of those jobs. In the case of Jason and the Lakers, I figured it was a matter of Jason letting them know he was interested and the Lakers saying, "Thanks, we'll get back to you." Well, now sources are saying that the Lakers have and actually gotten back to him and that this has gone to the next level, and that if the Lakers do make a move on Luke, which based on all of the rumblings could happen sooner rather than later, Kidd appears to be very much in the mix and possibly is even the favorite. Now, if you're a Lakers fan, especially a shrewd one, you might be thinking, well, what makes Jason Kidd more attractive or capable of coaching this team to a championship in the eyes of LeBron James? Because let's face it, that's what this is all about. What does LeBron think he needs to chase another championship? It's not any different than when he left Miami and he went to Cleveland. Or honestly, when he left Cleveland the first time and went to Miami, he kind of knew he didn't have what he needed. He wanted to go to Miami and find out, what is it that I need to win a championship? What does it take to win a championship? And he found out. And he went back to Cleveland and had them put together what he thought he needed to win a championship. He got one. And so now he's on to LA. And while I don't know that winning championships is the first and foremost reason he came out here, nonetheless, while you're here, why not take a stab at it? See what you're capable of doing. So, in that light, why would Jason Kidd make more sense to LeBron James than Luke Walton? I think I can explain it. Look, I can see where having LeBron's respect at the necessary level to win a title would be tough for Luke. Yes, he guided the Warriors to a 24-0 start and a 39-4 record when he filled in for Steve Kerr at the start of the 2015-16 season. And yes, that Warriors team set the all-time best single-season record of 73-9, went all the way to the finals, but ultimately lost to LeBron and the Cavs in that finals in 7 games. Yes, Luke has won 2 rings as a player with the Lakers. Yes, he won another one his first year as an assistant with the Warriors. Yes, he's the son of the legendary Bill Walton, the 2-time NBA champion in his own right. So Luke clearly knows what it takes to win a championship. He's been around this long enough. He's been part of the equation. But I dare say, I'm guessing the question in LeBron's mind is, okay, so he knows what it takes, but does he know how to deliver one? And if LeBron and his people believe more in J. Kidd, well, it's because they've seen him deliver one. In 2011, firsthand over LeBron and the Miami Heat. Now, Jason wasn't a primetime player anymore, but he was a coach on the floor. And he did help mastermind that upset with Coach Rick Carlisle. An upset that for my money, will stand forever as one of the greatest in NBA history. And I was there firsthand. I saw Jason literally took LeBron out of his game at times, in spite of the fact that LeBron had him in age, in physique, you name it. There's no way that Jason Kidd one-on-one should have won battles, and yet he did. Certainly more than he lost against LeBron in that series. Jason's also an accomplished superstar in his own right. He led 2 Nets teams to back-to-back finals appearances and did it in a style that is not unlike LeBron's as a playmaker. So I know LeBron holds him in high regard. Push comes to shove, I don't know if LeBron listens to Kidd should things go south in the same way LeBron followed and then peeled off Tyronn Lue in Cleveland, but that's a whole different. We're not there yet. What I am certain of is that he's more likely to bend to Jason's ideas than Luke's. I almost feel as if we've seen that already. Jason is a Hall of Famer. Luke is the son of a Hall of Famer. Luke, for all of his expertise, and make no mistake about it, I respect and admire Luke on a multitude of levels. His IQ, if you're looking at the Lakers, I've already heard Lakers fans, Luke's the problem. Luke's not the problem with your team. Let's be clear on that. But in the eyes of LeBron, it may not be the problem. Is he the answer? And what we're getting is that he's not. So we'll see where that goes. But stay tuned. If Jason Kidd ends up being the head coach of the Lakers before the end of the season, I would not be surprised. Now, back to the discovery that Kyrie would be open to playing with LeBron again. If that sounds a little nutty after he forced his way out of Cleveland to Boston, rather than play another season with LeBron, look, I'm with you. But I'm also guessing you, as I did, saw LeBron's Instagram posts with Kyrie Irving tagged in the caption and LeBron singing Fetty Wap's Rewind.
Rewind, rewind, rewind.
Taken as a not-so-subtle suggestion that Kyrie and he not only should, but will join forces again. And look, my first reaction when I saw that and heard that was, no effing way. Kyrie is on a young team, stocked with talent. He's got an excellent coach. He's part of a franchise that believes winning championships is really the only reason to play basketball. He's the team's undisputed top star. And just looking at what they have, he could beat up the East for the next few years the same way LeBron did. So and let's go back to the origin. He left. He couldn't wait to get away from LeBron and prove that he could do it. I don't think he went to Boston saying, I want to be the man, but he wanted to show that he could do it without the shadow of 23. So I called somebody who knows Kyrie, who would have, I'm no doubt in my mind, knows what Kyrie is thinking. And I called him more just to kind of put this out of my mind, that it was LeBron just turning the spotlight back toward him and the Lakers, because it had faded. And you go back through LeBron's time, he's always doing something. When he falls off of the radar, he's gonna go down to Miami and work out with Dwayne Wade. He's gonna do something to disrupt things and bring the attention back to him. Why he does that, I'll leave that to Dr. Phil. But that he does it and has done it repeatedly, just check the history. You'll see it. But I thought maybe that's all that it is, because it was really hard for me to wrap my head around Kyrie going to LA, to the Lakers, to go back under LeBron's wing after escaping it. And escaping it into a pretty sweet situation. So I called somebody who I know knows where Kyrie's head is at any given time. And I said, I just asked, how much stock I should put in LeBron's IG messages and this idea that Kyrie would be open to rejoining LeBron. And my guy didn't hesitate. He goes, oh no, it's for real. And he went on to explain, largely that the weight of being the guy responsible to carry a team that's expected to go to the finals was proving to be more than Kyrie expected. Now, look, there are guys who just like to play the game at a very high level. Kevin Durant is the same way. Like leading, mentoring, politicking. Some guys find all of that tedious and not what they enjoy about being in the NBA. It's not why they play the game. Now, LeBron is not like that. He seems to relish wielding power, being the center of attention, orchestrating all that goes on around him. And so, look, I kind of get it when it comes to Kyrie and the potential discovery that he's made in Boston, being the guy. And I don't think it's really all that hard to relate to. And forgive me, but look, for the longest time, this is how I relate to it. For the longest time, I was single, and my job was covering the NBA. I had constructed my life as the way that I thought would be a cool life to live, and I liked having that independence. And I was very good at it, in large part because I could make my job and covering the NBA, which didn't feel like a job. It's a passion. It's still a passion. But it could be my sole focus. It could be the center of my universe. I could shape and structure the rest of my life around it. You need me to travel. You need me to be on the road weeks at a time. You need me hanging out for hours waiting for a call to break a story, or dropping everything to hook up with a source or get an interview. Look, that was easy. I was more than game. I lived for that. And so, being on the road for weeks at a time, no problem. Then I got married, and then I had kids. And then I went from being a lone wolf chasing stories to wanting to kind of branch out in other mediums and be a storyteller of different kinds. And honestly, to find a structure that would allow me to be a father and a husband and, just find a way to continue to do what I do, but also be available to the people that relied on me. I'd never had to worry about that before. So I went from being a lone wolf chasing stories to a radio host with a producer and a co-host and a set schedule. And I had other people and their wants and needs to consider. I had to settle disputes, connect people to other people, plan around other people's schedules. Now I'm building a podcast network, and I have to write checks and pour over contracts and hire people and research equipment and I got to tell you, it makes me appreciate the days I could just throw on a suit and make some calls on my way to the studio, and they'd clip the mic on and, make me look good on camera, and I'd jabber away and then, walk off the set and head off to dig up my next story. And so I kind of see, Kyrie's got all this overhead now. He's got all these duties and responsibilities that come with being the leader of a team that's, championship or bust. And he's thinking, man, it was a lot easier when I could be the closer, I could be the killer. I just feel that's the life that Kyrie misses and presumably sees himself as potentially having again if he rejoined LeBron. And I don't know that I necessarily blame him, So I look at it, and one, I don't fault Kyrie. I don't know ultimately. I don't know what he does. I mean, I don't know if Kyrie ultimately pulls up stakes and heads to LA this summer. It's a long season, and in the same way I've heard Kevin Durant is as good as gone from the Warriors when he becomes or could become a free agent this summer. Winning a ring, making the journey with the group around you can change things. And you can also, from afar, see your preferred destination and what happens there. Whether that team struggles or priorities are exposed that aren't the same as yours. All of that can change, cause a change of heart. Like Paul George demonstrated that in deciding to stay in Oklahoma City. Not something that, from everything that I heard, no one was expecting when he first got there. He cultivated a relationship with Russell, and the Lakers really didn't pay him all that much attention, and he realized, I'm from LA. It doesn't mean I have to live in LA. I mean, he's not really an LA kid. He's more of a Palmdale kid, which is probably, not having spent a great deal of time there, just by going by description, might have more in common with OKC than it does with Hollywood or LA Live, if you will. So I don't know what's going to happen in hearing it from my. But do I think Kyrie's thinking that way? Absolutely, I do at this point. So I know that guys can have a change of heart, but there is no doubt in my mind that if nothing else, the mantle of being the driving force behind a championship team and all that comes with that role is more than Kyrie bargained for. And as of right now, he would welcome a simpler path to winning another ring. I don't doubt that he wants to win and wants to win championships. You need me to knock down a game-winning three over Steph Curry? Oh, I can do that all day long. That's what I'm thinking Kyrie is thinking. But keep J.R. Smith or Jaylen Brown in line, broker a peace between Marcus Smart and Gordon Hayward, slog through an entire season where anything short of reaching the finals is going to be put on my head and considered a failure. Who do I know who can do all that while I just show up and do Uncle Drew commercials and ball out? Oh, yeah. There's that guy I played with in Cleveland. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to get to was Anthony Davis making it known he wants out of New Orleans. Now, I have absolutely no problem with anyone, anywhere, at any time, wanting to work where they want, for whom they want. It is a ludicrous and an outdated mentality to think that millionaire athletes, with their rarest of rare skill sets, I think this is what the average fan does not appreciate. Yes, you play the game. Yes, your shots and the way you handle and some of the things you do may resemble in some ways what you see NBA players do. I get why you think that you know the game the same way they do. But trust me, you don't. You don't appreciate how unique and rare their skills are and how much they had to do to develop and cultivate them in order to play the game at the level that they do and to get paid for playing the game the way that they do. And this is what's mind-boggling to me. I had the opportunity to obviously know plenty of NBA players over the years. Gotten to know people of high repute in a variety of fields. And we don't treat them the same way as we do athletes. Like, NBA players have the rarest of rare skill sets. And in my mind, they should enjoy less freedom than people similarly talented in other fields enjoy? Would you ever tell Billy Joel or Jay-Z they can only work for one record label? Or Jeff Bezos or Robert Iger or Robert Downey Jr. or Denzel Washington or Cate Blanchett or Meryl Streep, expected to stay in one place? And if they say, yeah, I don't really like my treatment here, I'm going to go work for that studio, we would never look at it that way. That any CEO, no, you can't leave. You can't go across the street. You can't jump ship. We've never thought of it that way. So why do we expect that of our athletes? Because that's the way it was once done, because we've been indoctrinated? Well, yeah, I'm sure. Look, but the bottom line is owners got over for a long time selling a concept of loyalty that was strictly one way. And fans bought into it because it benefited them too. But none of that makes it right or worth continuing. So I don't have a problem that AD wants out of New Orleans. What I have a real problem with is the suggestion that it's not his fault, or that the fact that the Pelicans are 13th in the Western Conference is justification for him to want to be elsewhere. No. Don't tell me, well, he has to go someplace else because he wants to win. No. Anthony Davis has been propped up, not by me. I've kind of fought this fight. As far as pure talent is concerned, he's as gifted as any player you could ask for. He's got the whole kit. Tracy McGrady too. It just was another name to throw out there. There's plenty of players who have the skills, and put them in a certain situation and hand them a ball enough times, they're going to have numbers that blow you away. It's the case with Anthony Davis. But is he a superstar? Superstars, in my mind, this is the distinction for me between a star player and a superstar, a franchise player. Franchise player doesn't just get his numbers. He gets numbers for other guys, which means he makes the game easier for them. They score in ways, they put up numbers that, left to their own devices or playing with just a star, they wouldn't get. I don't see that with Anthony Davis. I'm sorry, I don't. You can tell me all day long about teams doubling and tripling him, and sure, it happens in certain instances, but not regularly. People don't try to take him out of games. I've seen in as many instances where they're willing to live with whatever he does, because in the fourth quarter, it's not about him. It's, I had this discussion with Ryan Hollins about All-Stars, and he had Anthony Davis, and I had Drew Holiday, and we look at their record, and we're like, that team doesn't deserve 2 All-Stars. But in watching their games, I'm watching the end of games, and Drew Holiday is the one who's dictating it. Now, part of that's position, but part of it is also mindset. If you're as good as Anthony Davis, I don't want you to be a bystander. I don't want you playing off of... mentally, you wouldn't accept that. You would only have it one way. Play through me. Give me the damn ball. I haven't seen enough of that from AD. And if he wants to go someplace else, no problem. And I don't know the width and breadth of everything that's gone on in New Orleans. Although if there were instances, if we're going to give him the alibi that it's not, he has to leave because New Orleans just hasn't been able to put a successful team around him, then give me the examples of the deals that they could have made that they didn't. And the fact of the matter is, New Orleans is a tough market. It's a tough place to get free agents, and they're really the poor sister to the New Orleans Saints. How much focus they get from the organization at large is not clear. That's fine. But I have an issue with, and look, from everything I know about Anthony Davis, and I know people who know him, I've gone back to Chicago and met the people that he grew up with. Everything that I know about him, great kid, great human being, great story to have survived the neighborhood that he did in Chicago, to come out of that alive and become what he's become. This is none of that. It's really not even AD's fault. It's I hate to beat up on my brethren in the media, but it's the media's fault. We've made him out to be something that he hasn't proved to be. I had an agent, a scout just the other day, who compared Kristaps Porzingis to Anthony Davis and said, and harshly, they're both frauds. They've both been made into stars without having achieved anything. And I tend to agree with that. Now, it's early in the process for Kristaps. But much like AD, and even, aside from the ACL that's kept him out for the last year, like, he had nagging injuries. Physically, he couldn't show up all the time or play to the level that you would need a cornerstone to play. And that's been the same with AD. So I wish him well. Him going someplace else doesn't really scare me. Even going and joining forces with LeBron doesn't scare me. As far as now they're going to be world beaters. Now, you add Kyrie Irving to that equation. I've seen that formula work, and that could get interesting. That is going to be the subject of the next podcast. When I am no longer friendless, I will be befriended once again by Ryan Hollins, and we will discuss the possibility of Kyrie, AD, and LeBron coming together under the Lakers' mantle and what that might mean for the power structure of the NBA. Once again, I want to remind you, there's a couple of other podcasts on our network. Age Groupie, Get Some by comedian Gary Owen. I won't get into all the ins and outs of describing the two podcasts, but just give them a quick listen. I guarantee you'll go back and you'll want some more. You can find them on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to rate and review this podcast and screenshot the review and tweet it to us so that you have a shot. You can tweet it to us at Bucher and Friends, and you'll be entered for a chance to win some prizes. Also, bucherandfriends.com. I know I'm loading you up with a lot here, but bucherandfriends.com. Click on the survey link and fill out the survey. It takes you a couple minutes. We want to know who's listening to the podcast, and do so, and you will be entered to win a $50 gift card to Amazon. Don't miss out on that. Also, don't miss out on the next podcast. Ryan will be with me. We'll go through the new potential powerhouse, the Los Angeles Lakers, returning to glory. All that in the next podcast. In the meantime, thanks for listening.